Hey, look at that. The little dingy thing in the corner actually reminded me that my mic was muted this time. So let's just make sure I do have audio on stream. Yep. Okay, I do. Perfect. Don't want to make that mistake again. Things might look a little bit different this morning. I have been shuffling around my audio visual gear. I've got a new, let's see if I can pull it into shot here. I got a new, and of course it's all connected, so I can't really pull it, but got a new camera and all that stuff, a nice little 4K camera. I've been trying to get that working, but it's yeah, what they don't tell you about new gear is you have to learn how to use it. You can't just drop in and everything's hunky-dory and super cool. So so things are look a little bit different. Lights are in a different position because the actual DSLR or mirrorless, whatever this Sony camera is, requires a lot more light than this webcam does. So I'm trying to figure out how to make it not look like I live in a cave, even though it's nice and bright. So let's see here. Today, let's get into where we are with this project. Make sure I transition into the right thing. Here we go. So Dungeon Fire tiles. What we're going to work on, we've basically completed Milestone 1. We've gone through, we've got all our tiles being drawn, we've got our tile design, we've got the build tool, all that stuff's been implemented. So now we need to work on milestone number 2 down here. And so what I have here is we're going to design the action system, the enemy decision engine. That's probably not going to be today. I'll kick that one down a little bit later. The game manager, the turnstile, and then our exit condition is the monster spawns. It gets added to the turn order, and units can be moved around the board. So that's what we need to focus on today. So I need to start with some planning. And the hardest part about this entire project that I'm doing is trying not to plan while not on stream. I haven't streamed this project in 14 days, and it's been driving me nuts because I really wanted to work on it. It just life, work, and all that stuff has gotten in the way. I have now dropped down to part-time at work, so I actually have Thursdays and Fridays off, or not scheduled, I guess would be the proper way to say that now. So I can devote specifically to doing game dev and a lot of my teaching work that I'm doing for college as well. So every Thursday and Friday going forward, I'm going to be streaming. I haven't figured out the exact times yet. I think 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. Eastern time is a good time. Don't know. We'll see if this works for you guys. Hopefully it does, and we can continue on. So let's see here. To have that morning coffee, that little extra caffeine to kick you up. So let's go over it. Let's take a look at our GDD. And so let's see here. We did heroes, monsters, combat flow. Here we go. So we already decided here back in hour 1, what our actions are going to be. We're going to have a move action, an attack action, cast spell, disarm trap, and open the chest. Probably we're going to tweak those a little bit as we go along, but those are going to be our basic our actions on our turn. So that's going to be our hero action system. So let's take these, and we say it's 2 actions. So let's go ahead and copy this. Let's copy this over to our milestone here. Let's put these in. Okay, so that's going to be part of that we're going to work on designing. I'm just going to move this down the list because that one, I feel like this might be a little bit more into this combat. I have combat basic gameplay here. We might tweak that to be a little bit more like character focused, but I do want to get, at least today, I want to replace our generic blue square with an actual player icon. And we've already imported the assets from the Mini Fantasy series. I can't, for the life of me, I can't say the artist's name. I can't say English names very well. I definitely can't say foreign names any better. So, let's see here. We have got, I've got chat up over here, so feel free anytime during chat. I'm going to try to keep an eye out over here on the side, so anything comes up that you guys want to speak up or chat about, feel free, especially if there's any feedback or if you have any good ideas. I'm more than open to it. I've got to get rid of my image over here. That's why I keep looking off to the side instead of actually at the camera. So I just want to make sure things are working properly. So let's see here. Let's get into Godot. Let's see where we left off. Tiles. Again, it's been 2 weeks since I opened this, and it's driving me nuts that it's been that long. So again, we've got our tile designer. We get the tile library here so that we can mess with things. One other update I want to do before we actually start the timer on this is I'm still working on the summary series. Again, I'm still trying to get the camera and everything done so that I can summarize these hours and hours and hours of live stream down into like 10, 15-minute video episodes to kind of give more shorthand stuff, especially for people who don't have hours to watch me ramble through on the stream. But so I am still working on that. I've shot and reshot episode 1 multiple times. First time it was completely out of focus. Second time was the angle was wrong, so I look like Jabba the Hutt. Was not very happy with that. So I've got to reshoot a lot of the talking head stuff. And trying to figure out the new equipment it's been a little bit rough. I may just go right back to the webcam and just shoot it with that just so I can get it done with, but hopefully we'll get that done soon. So let's jump back over here in 1 second here. Let's get over. I don't need that. Where are we? Time tracker. Here we go. All right. Yep. Can't use my camera because I'm streaming with it. Okay. So let's go back over here to our projects. Dungeon Fire Tiles. Kanban. Okay. Here we go. So let's see. Current milestone. We're going to work on the turn system. We're going to work on the game manager. We're going to work. We're probably going to need the monster spawner because that's going to come up. I'm going to put this over here because that was one of the things we talked about. And ability, win, loss, exit. Nope. Movement system. We definitely want to put that here. Let's put that. Yeah, let's put that right there for right now. I'm going to work on the. Again, this is one of those things where, we really want to plan streams before we do them, but I wanted to show, how I go about doing this stuff. So normally what I do is I have my Kanban board. I look at what I have for what I need to work on, and then I select that, and that's going to be my focus for the day. So let's work on the, let's work on the movement system. You know what? Let's do that today. Let's try to get, no. Yeah, we're going to work on the movement system. I'm going to go back over here. So we've got our timer started here. Let me just look here. I've got a, let's see, we got heroes and monsters. So I broke them out as separate things. Okay, so let's work on that today. The big thing that I want to talk about is the, okay, give me 1 second because it looks like my camera has frozen. Let me jump over to OBS and quickly try to get the camera to restart. So let's do just plain Godot transition. Okay, and then turn off camera. Sorry about this, technical difficulties. Webcam. Okay, can we just disable camera? Deactivate. Reactivate. There we go. Okay. Hey, look at that, I'm back. Okay. Hey, and technical issues count against our time. Go figure, right? Okay. So we're going to work on the movement system. So let's get down into here. Let me minimize all of this. Let's go back and let's just refresh ourselves with where we are. So let's see. Game board, we'll do our F6 and we will do here. So we've got our arrow key movement thing and we have exploring, so we can add tiles. They rotate properly. We have the weighted tile draw so that they'll pick based on whichever, based on the weight. So like certain ones will come up more often than others and stuff like that. So we have all this stuff. Okay, so let's see here. Let's close this. What is that showing up on my screen? There it goes. Okay. So we don't need the tile map open right now. We will need the game board open, but let's do one thing first, just to give us a little bit something better to look at. So let's take a look at our player. Here's our sprite. Let's replace that. Let's go down into characters and let's grab the rogue. Let's grab him. Where's idle? Here we go. Let's put idle in here. And let's see here. Let's turn off the region. And I believe this one is 16 by 4. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And then there. Okay. So save that. So now if we do our moving around, we actually have a little guide to look at. So we kind of give a better idea of what this is going to look like when we're done. So that's just a fun little thing. Okay, so let's see. We're going to work on movement. So what we need to do is, I did need this open because what we need is a navigation layer, which it looks like we've already added. Have we drawn it yet? Let's go look. Paint, navigation layer 0. Hey, look at that. We already did do all this. So debug, view, navigation. Okay, so now if we, let's turn this also. Game. Let's just keep it here in the screen. Okay. Oops. Helps if I run the game in the right place. There we go. Yep. Okay. So we do have our navigation. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to make it so then we can actually click and have him move based on that. So let's see here. Let me try to remember. It's been a long time since I actually implemented the A-star navigation. Okay, so let's see. We need to stop playing the game. There we go. Game board. So we got the A-star. We've only got the floors. Okay, so player. We need to add in what was it called? The navigation agent. Nav agent. Here we go. Okay. And then let's take a look here. And we have the A-star grid 2D. We've already got it because the tile map auto builds it, so we don't actually have to add anything to it. We need to figure out our mouse. So where we click. So canvas layer. You know what? Let's bring up, because I already did this in the idea testing. Let's see how I did that in the idea testing. Idea testing. Okay, so in here we have, the dinosaur here. Let's see. Okay, so that works. Let's take a look here. Player. Did I do it in the player? Set up, position to cell, unhandled input. Here we go. So we did this. This is the previs. Okay. So Just trying to remember how we did this here. So if the event is a mouse motion, so if we're moving the mouse, grab the global position, and then we need to convert that into the local to map. So we take a global position, local to map. I believe this was done because I have a scalable camera. So if we run that, oops, that's the wrong game. So I have it so we can scroll here, and then this actually puts it in the right cell. So I believe that's what we did here. So let's take this, and this is on the player. I don't think I want on the player, because we're going to have 4 heroes. So we need to have this on we need to have a way to set the active player, and then we need to make and pass the command to the active player. And then we can kind of use the same logic. I mean, we don't need the mouse aspect of it, but we can use that same logic into our enemies when we go, hey, I forget what we did. Goblins, I think it was a certain type of nasty goblins. What did we do? GDD. We did orcs. Okay, orcs. So we can tell the orcs where they need to go on the game board. So we can use basically the same style logic, but we're just going to pull the mouse input for the players, and then we'll use the decision engine to send the destination or the choices to the monster. Okay, so let's take, you know what, let's just take this function. Do I want to take the function just entirely as it is? We'll just take it as it is, and then I'll just edit out the stuff that I'm not going to use. Right now, I don't have a previs and stuff like that. So let's just take that function. Let's move this over here. Let's do a... Do we want to do this as like a sub module or node on the canvas layer to have like an input tracker? Or do we want to basically have it assigned to the character, and then whenever the character is active, then they'll receive that? That is a good question. I mean, we could also use a signal saying, you know, okay, well, let's think about this, because we're doing turn development also at this time. So if we do a signal to say, hey, it's your turn, and then that signal could wake up the move input stuff, and when end turn is hit, that puts it to sleep, and it stops listening until that signal comes in again. That might work. Or actually, you know what we could do? We have the global input module, so our player controller, whatever you want to call it. And then what it can do is it uses the turn order. Whoever's the active turn, it sends the input to the active turn. Then, like, if it's the monster's active turn, it's just going to ignore. We're not going to, or actually on the input module, we can just say, hey, it's a monster turn. We can ignore it. So, you know, let's make it as a global thing. And then what we can do is we can then pass in the variable of, you know, which character we're telling it to. So what we need to do, build an input node, and then on the character, in this case the player, we need to build in the logic for it to move. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go back here. Let's do we already have this canvas layer that's going to be our entire screen. So let's add in I guess we can just put a node under. Let's just put a node under this, because we're going to have buttons on the screen, because we're going to have, you know, be able to click on the players and look at their inventory, things like that. So let's add a child node here, and let's just make it a node. We don't need to make it a node. We don't need to make it a control. We don't need to make it a node 2D. We'll just make it a node. And we're going to call this player inputs. Yeah, we'll call it player inputs. I don't really like the name, but we'll go with that for right now. Okay. And then come down here. We'll add in that function. Okay. Okay, so yeah, if moving. So what we need also here is we need an export var current character. And then I don't think we gave this a player. No, we didn't. So we'll just say it's a character body 2D for now then. Okay. And then we can do here, we can do if current character dot moving. So if that character says, hey, I'm moving right now, ignore the input until the movement's done. If the event is mouse button, if it's pressed and previs points is empty, I'm going to just pull this right here over to a comment, because we do want the previs, because the previs is going to give us a nice look to say, hey, here's where you want to move. So okay, and then we do start move. We're going to do character body character body 2D dot, nope, not character body 2D. We want to use current character dot start move. Okay. So if the left mouse button is pressed, we want to do start move. And then this, okay, else if this is setting where we want our target position to be, because here's our target cell. Okay, do we define the target cell? We don't there. Let's go back over here and look at our, where do I define? Here we go. Target cell, current cell. Let's copy these over. I don't think I'm going to need this grid, but let's go back over here. Let's put these up here at the top. Okay. Mouse position, we'll get global mouse position. Why is that one not found in the base self? Oh, because we're in a node. What type was that one before? That one was, that was in a character body 2D. Okay, so maybe we need to change this into a node 2D so that we can get 2D coordinates. So let's do that. Oops. Node 2D. Change this. Change type. Okay. Okay. Okay, so that gets that. This is our tile map, so we can convert this tile position. We can say the mouse is not over a tile, so basically it will prevent us from clicking in the empty gray space. Let's see here. What else do we have? We find our target. Position to cell. Oh, right. I need the position to cell function from over here, because what this is doing... Grid.cell size. I don't know if I want to do that, because that grid is our A-star grid. Can we pull cell size from... Let's copy this over, but I think we can use the tile map instead of the A-star grid. So let's go back over here. Let's create this process, but instead of grid, we want to use the dungeon tile map. Dot cell size. Okay. So this should pull, if I remember correctly, if we go in here, we have these tile size here is 8 by 8. So that should take the position, divide by an 8 by 8 square to give us the vector 2i results. Okay. So that this converts local to the dungeon tile map, get cell. If target equals target cell, move points. And we want to use the dungeon tile map again here. Okay. I'm going to put this in here because again we're doing the cell size. I feel like there's a better way to do this. Previs we're not using right now. Target cell equals target. And then I need let's see here. Sorry, my cell phone just started to go off. Let me just hit ignore on that. There we go. Okay. So let's see. So we got this. Let's see. We need to check it. So we need to figure out where our target is. So let's add in right here, print target. Okay. So if we go back here, we're certainly not going to have it work properly, but let's see here. Oh, current character. Yeah. Wow. Jumping way ahead of myself. We don't have moving defined on the character. We don't have the function to actually move the character. Start move. Okay. So let's go back over here to our, let's stop this. Game board, character. Okay. I'm just going to throw some stuff in here for right now. Start move. And then what we can do is when we actually fully develop the character, I can just take the functions out of here and put them into the full-on character thing. So let's grab that from over here. So where we have moving, where is the start move? Here we go, start move. Okay, so let's copy that over. So I'll put that in here. Move points is empty. So we'll need to pass in move points to the character. Current point moving equals true. We need the moving. I'm just going to, take out the animation player for right now because we're not using that. Var moving bool. And by default, it will be false. Okay. And then we need current points. So let's go back over here. We need to define these in the character, not in the character controller. So let's add those in here. Okay. And then let's go back to our inputs here. Okay. So let's grab current character, copy. Okay. Yeah, we don't need that in this, I don't believe, because what we can do is we'll do character move points here, and then we'll do character and character dot move points. I mean, it's probably a better a better practice to actually just keep a local copy and then send it back to the character when we're done, instead of constantly referencing the character like we're doing here. But okay, target cell, print target. Okay, so we got that, and we've got the character body. We have a start move. We have move points. We have the current point. Okay. We don't have any actual movement of the character, but all I'm trying to do right now is just to get the output to tell me which cell I clicked on. So let's take a look and see what we got here. Oh, right. Because it's an export, I have to actually go up here. We need to assign the character. Okay. Okay. Local to map on a null instance. Am I calling this before the dungeon tile map is set up? Looks like I might be. Or am I just calling this wrong? Okay, let's redrag the reference in. So let's take this out. Yep. Okay. Calling that wrong. This is just temporary right now. I'm just trying to get the logic working. We'll clean this up later to make sure that we actually use a real reference instead of this absolute reference. It's not the best, but what this does is also overrides the, hey, it's not ready on the unready and kick out some errors. So it'll just give us a little bit to work with until we get too far. Okay. Okay, so let's see. What did we get for output? We got the mouse is not over a tile. And then it crashed as soon as we did cell size on tile map layer. Okay. So we need its, what's the reference? Dot cell tile size, cell tile data dot. Nope. What is it? It's let's go back over here. Dungeon tile map. We have, it's under the tile set. Okay, so let's do this. Tile set dot, and this would be tile size. Is that it? Tile underscore size. Yeah, let's see if that works. Okay, so we got not over a tile. Boop. Okay. Invalid operands. Okay, we're trying to divide a 2i by a vector 2. Let's see, where is that? That is right here. Okay, so position. Return position. Tile set divide dot tile size. Well, let's see what math we're trying to do here. So let's grab this. And let's do a print error. Okay, so that's what this is. And then we're trying to divide it by, this is the current position. So let's take a look and see what this is going to output. Boom. Okay. So we've got this and this. Okay. So our position's a float, basically. It's 8.8. So do we need to cast it as, can we cast it as a vector 2i? Let me think. How can we convert a float vector into an int vector? Can we just do it like a, because if I just do I here, it's going to fail because it's going to, whoops, cancel. It's going to come in and say, hey, this doesn't exist because it's not, well, it did come in as a, let me just say, yep. Okay, so it did bring it in as a vector 2i. Okay, so let's see here. Non-existent function. Okay, get point path. And this is the A star grid. So how do we get to the A star grid? A star. Is it the navigation layer? Navigation. Get navigation map. Would that work? Oh no, because that's giving us the RID. Okay. Okay, so let's get this out. We don't need that anymore. So let me think here. Get navigation map. Nope, that's not where. Yeah, that's where we are. We need the A star grid. How did I load the A star grid in this? Let's see here. Grid on setup. We passed a grid into the setup, which I think I passed from game board. Nope, wasn't from game board. Where did we pass that? Where do we call setup? thought we had called it from within here somewhere. I'm not seeing it. Control Shift F. Set up. Let's see where we're calling it from. Function player dot set up A star grid. Okay, so here's where we're calling it from. This is in the game board file. So grid display. Oh, this is my legacy stuff. This is from where I was trying to draw my own overlay. Yeah. Yeah, that's when I was trying to draw my own overlay. Oh. So where did I make the A star grid equal to the dungeon tile map? So here's the dungeon tile map. Okay, let's take a look here. Tile set, tile size. Okay, so that's where we get that size from. For this, we set what's walkable, which we're already doing. So I don't need to worry about that. And then we pass in, so after we update, this is an update, no, this is ready. We set up the A star grid. We update it. Yeah, see, in this one, we're keeping the second array in this one, where we have the actual dungeon tile map has all the navigation points in it, and then we're tracking a separate A star grid variable. So let's go back over. Let's take a look at our current game. Let's see where we're building and we're actually inputting the tiles. Show available, show available. Where is our pick new tile, substack? Did we not have, oh, hold on. Let's see here. Did we not? So we picked the new tile, pick random. Where is the add the tile? Here we go. Add the tile, pick a new tile. We draw the terrain from the array. Where's our draw terrain from array? Here we go. So we set this. Okay, let's just double check one thing. I want to make sure that when we come down here, we add a new tile. Yep, yeah, I know that's an error, but let's turn off that input just so I can finish testing this. Stop. Okay. Player inputs. Unhandled input. Here we go. We'll just comment this out for a second. So what I want to make sure, add tile. Okay. And it is adding the new navigation stuff. So that's already there. We don't have to worry about adding to the A star grid. So that's there. We just have to now figure out the we have to be able to talk to that grid and pull out where we are. So where was I crashing earlier? Oh, that part's wrong. So that part needs to be fixed. Oh, is my end? No, I'm not. Okay. I want to make sure I'm not in the where we see here, dungeon. Here we go. So we did have some math wrong right down here. So let's fix that. Okay. Yeah, let's try this one more time. Let's see where we're crashing. We'll figure it out. Okay, get point path. So we need to get to the A star navigation here. So how do we get, this is the navigation map. Returns the RID. Okay, I don't want the RID. I want, okay, so let's see what else we have for NAVI. Navigation, get navigation map. Set navigation map. Nope. Okay, so let's take a look here. Let's look at how we can access the A star grid that's within the Okay, let's go ask our buddy the Googles. Access A star from tile map. We should probably add in Godot. Okay. How do I get the A star grid from? Well, let's see what the AI answer says first, because then we don't have to click on any pages and dive through. Tile map get used rec. A star grid.region is the rect. Yeah, I don't. That's not what I'm looking for. Access and use path. Here we go. Get pathway. Yeah, here, we'll just go to the forums. Yeah, that AI answer was not helping us much. A star grid RID, because we can get the RID. Okay. So this is right where we were. It gives me the RID, but not a reference to the tile map. You can't get an A star grid 2D from a tile map directly. You need to build it separately. Okay. So if I need to build it separately, then we do need that. Okay. So we need to do it separately. Okay. So back to our example one here, where we actually get the A star grid and tile stacks. A star grid's a new one. We'll grab these. We'll say we can't move diagonal. Here's where we set the dungeon tile map tile size. Here's the region. Okay, so let's do this. We're going to copy this. We're going to use this right after we draw the terrain from the initial terrain from the array. So when we do our entrance tile, it looks like this is where we're going to call it. So let's go back over here. Let's go to our game board. Oop, still running. Don't want it running. Game board. Okay. So ready. Here's the draw the terrain. Let's set up our A star grid here. We're going to copy this. We're going to put this up here. So I have a board, total weight. Let's do a var A star grid, which is an A star 2D. Is it just A star 2D? What did we define this as? A star grid 2D. Okay. A star grid 2D. Okay. So then we update that. Okay. So we do all this, we update it, and then we need to find what's walkable. So let's do this. Okay, because we have to track this separately. Whoops, separately. So dungeon tile map, do we have that defined up here? Yes, we do. Okay. Dungeon tile map. So we go through, we get the cell data, get custom data walkable. Is that what we did in this one, or did we change the custom data? Let's take a look. Tiles, tile set. And paint. Tile marker. We didn't do that. We did. Okay. So we didn't do it that way, but we used the navigation layer. Okay. So we need to check the navigation layer. And if it is set, then we need to say it's walkable. Okay. So var walkable equals data and data. Custom data. Instead of get custom data, how about we do get, can we do get navigation? We don't want polygon. What do we want to do here? We're going to get the tile data. We're going to see if it's walkable. And we were testing it before by using custom data. You know what? It might just be easiest to add in the custom data because I've already developed that logic. Or do we dive deeper trying to figure this out and cost us valuable time? I think in the grand scheme of things, trying to save ourselves some time, let's just add in that custom data. So let's go down in here. Let's go into our tile set, physics, terrain, navigation, custom layer, tile marker. I have string. Let's add an element. Let's make it a bool, and we'll call it walkable. Okay. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. There we go. Okay. So now let's go back over here, custom data, title data layer, and we set on, and we make all of these walkable. There we go. Save. Okay. So that should give us if things are walkable. Just because we add those checks. Oh, you know what? We need that to be walkable too. Okay. Okay. So we made that walkable. And then let's go back over here. That we don't need because that was something that I was doing. Okay. Do I need this part? I might need this part. Player setup A-star grid. Let's look at the player. So this current cell, target cell. You know, this is one of those times where I really wish I had spent as much planning time for the stream. But again, I really wanted to go, here is what happens when you build a game. This is where you work through everything. You know, especially we're on the time crunch here, and I'm sitting there going, you know, do I do it this way? Do I do it that way? I need to do research to implement it this way. It's one of those hard things, and I wanted to make sure I show all that stuff. And you guys get to enjoy me rambling as I go through my entire thought process of trying to make this work. Okay, so let's see here. Let's take this setup. We'll copy this over. We'll put that into our player. Oh. So again, the setup, all we're doing here is we're passing in the A-star. We're going to set moving defaults by default. We're going to set up our grid up here. So our var grid, grid, that's going to be an A-star grid 2D. Okay. And then we also need current cell and target cell, which I thought we put in here. Okay, current cell, target cell, position to cell. Yeah, it sounds like, you know, as I move through all this, I'm just pulling all this stuff back from the player and putting it back right in, or from this player input back into this player thing. And this is one of those times where you realize why games just take so long to make, because you keep making decisions, trying to make things work. And oops, helps if I use the game board. Here we go. Okay. Oh, right. I didn't finish. Yeah, I got to fix this thing. So what was this one again? This one was, this needs the A-star grid. Character move points equals character, current character. Current, wow. Current character. Oh, geez. I cannot type to save my life today. Dot grid dot get point path. Current cell and target. Yeah, this is probably going to come back and bite us, but we're just trying to make progress right now. We're just trying to move forward. Yep, I know it's running. Stop. There we go. Okay. Not over tile. Not existent function, get point path. How is that? Okay, let's go back here and look. Let's get our, where's our get point path? Unknown input. Here we go. Mouse not over. Grid. Move points. You know what? Let's do this. Let's just take all of this. Let's go back over here. Let's go back to our game. And let's just kill off our player inputs. We'll just kill that off for right now. Go back into our player. We'll add in the unhandled input here. And then we'll just take this one and we'll comment that out. Okay. So we got all this dungeon tile map. We're going to make sure we pull this in properly. Okay, so that is right. That is right. This needs to be fixed then. Okay. We're not doing a previs. We'll just take that out for right now. Okay, that's fine. Again, previs. Let's take this out. And then we need to do a print target. Print target cell. Okay. Get point path on null value. Right, because we're never calling setup on the player. So go back to game board. So we do all this, and then here we need to do, and did we do a current character? We did character. So we do character dot setup, and then we need to pass in the A star grid. There we go. 3 3 2 3 1 3 0 3. So we got column, row, 2 2 2. So third column, 0 row, 1 2 3. Okay. So now we're getting, we can see this. We're out here. We're not a valid thing. Here we are valid. Why is it not? Oh, because I hit click. Because when I hit click, it told it to start moving. We have not put in the actual movement yet. So let's go back to the player and do that. Okay. So we got that. We got the print target. Okay, that's cool. So that's working fine. Let's do start move. Moving equals true. And then we need the actual movement. So let's just steal this one for now. Physics process. And we'll just take this, copy all this. And then I'll explain that when we get into here. So let's see. Where's our physics process? Do we have one? We do not right now. Okay, perfect. We'll just add it right here. And so what we do here, and let me just fix the spacing so we don't have the errors. And then this is previs again. Don't need that. Oh, we don't need the previs points equals. That's fine. What is... moving equals false. Okay, so this is fine. Unindent doesn't match the previous, so we just need to make this go back. This needs to go out one. Okay. And then we need to define the character speed. So let's make a, let's do, it's not the right, what do we call it? the right formatting, because constants are supposed to be all capitalized. I'm just going to do this right now. Capitalized. So let's do float equals, I don't know, 50.0. There we go. Okay, so now we have the speed. Okay. And so let's work through this. Let's see. That's set up. Nope. I want physics. Where's the physics? I forgot to copy the header function. So right now it thinks it's part of the setup function. We definitely don't want it there. There we go. So we go through. We have our current point, where we are in the grid. And then if our move point size -1 is equal to our current point, then we've reached the end of our movement. And then we set our velocity to nothing. Our global position is going to be the move points -1. And then the current cell, we're going to take and look, and we're going to convert to the grid, figure out where we are currently, and then we're going to turn off false, or we're going to set where we are currently, and then we're going to set off the movement. If we're not there yet, what we're going to do is we're going to take our move points, take our current point, and go to the next index in the array, and then we're going to take a look at the direction to our next move point, normalize it, take that times our speed, we're going to move and slide, and then here we're going to just double check, see how close we are. This is always a fun part to do, is we got to try to scale it and say, hey, are we close enough to say we're there? Because if you do it exact, again, we're moving at floats, and it's just going to go, based on your frame rate, it could go right from 1.00001 to 0.999999. And if we look for it to be exactly equal to 1, it will never hit that. So we'll never hit that point, and we'll just keep going forever. So we don't want to do that anymore. Why does that just say in the... Okay, that was just my own... Sorry, my thing came up and just showed that I made like 700 super chat goals. I was like, I did not do any such thing. Okay, so that's that. We do... And then we move to the next cell in the position. We increase in the array to the next point, and we keep going through each point in the array until we get to our final destination. So let's take a look here. Get index 1. Moving is false. Oh, I know what I forgot to do. Because what we're doing here is we're not checking if moving. So let's see here. So let's do... So this one, we're checking the points. So we don't want to do... We only want to execute it while we're moving. I have two ways to do this, and I'm trying to figure out which way I want to do. Do I want to just check to say, yes, we're moving, so else if moving, do this? Or do I want to just turn off the physics process entirely? Either way, I'm seeing bugs on both potential solutions. That's the big downside here. Because if I turn off the physics functions, anything that I might do that needs physics won't function unless, it's turned on. It might be the safer way to do things. But the other time, if I do if I check if moving, there could be times where we forget to, not forget to, but it happens in the program where the move Boolean doesn't get set to false, and he may just keep trucking right across the screen going to, somewhere points unknown on the other side of Abu Dhabi or whatever. And I think I used the physics function in the test setup. I think's what I did. Physics function. I think that's what I did here. Yep, right here. So I made a setter in the moving, and that turns on and off the physics function based on if they're moving. So let's do that. Let's just steal this. I like the setter functions. So let's go ahead and use that over here. So let's go back up to our move. And we'll just replace that with our setter function. And then we'll just set it, if it's moving, I'm going to turn this part off because we're not using previs right now. So we'll just say move is whatever, yes or, true or false. And then we can set the physics to match whatever the case is. Okay, so let's try this again. Make sure we're stopped, run it. Okay, we click. And see, this is what happens when we do the check is because it doesn't get close enough based on the frame rate. He's like, hey, I never hit that 3.3 point. I'm just going to keep trucking right along. So now if we come back down here and we set this down to like say negative 0.5, this should hopefully trigger it so that he stops when he gets there. Nope. Okay. So let's do some debugging here. Let's figure out why this is not happening. So let's take this math right here. Copy. Oh, I already got it right here. So let's take, oh no, that's checking. That's not what I'm looking for. Let's print out our math. Guess we don't need that many parentheses, huh? Okay. So this is going to tell us how close we are. So when we watch our output down here, right now our check is if he's within 0.5. So let's see here. Let's go here and go. I'm going to quickly stop it so then we can see the output right as he gets past it. Okay. So you see here, we did our math totally wrong. 11, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. And you see here he gets to 4 and then it starts getting bigger again. So what it's doing is this is checking pixel. So he's, within 4 pixels. Well, more like he's within 5 because he gets down to 4.01. So if I do less than or equal to 5, he should stop now when he gets to that. Yep. But you see what happened here now is, oops. When I do this, he kind of does this weird like jittery move, and we don't want that. So let's see here. What can we do? Yep, no, I want to leave that there. What can we do to try to fix that? Let's think here. So you go moving along. You know what we could do? This might be the stupid easy answer. Let's make him walk slower. Bump, bump, bump. And you notice what he's doing here is he's snapping. And if we go back and we look at our, oops, that one, he's not moving backwards. Right there, boom, boom, boom. Let's stop this so we can look at the output. So he's moving down here. He's moving slowly, slowly. Here's 5. Okay, so I hit that. And then he moved on to the next point. 7, 6, 5, 5, 5. Boom, he hit the next point. Moving on to the next point in the array. He's 7 pixels away. 6, 5, 4. And then he's close enough and he hits there. So what he's doing is when he gets to that point, he is snapping to the next position, which is, we can probably turn that off. So let's see here. So if we do current cell, current global position. So what this does right here is it puts them into that current position. So this makes them snap. And this is something that, it's good to have right here at the final part. So let's take this away from here. And let's see here, his current, let's set the global position. Oh, he's already got global position right there when he gets to the end. So this should make it so he doesn't snap like that when he walks. Yep. But he does still snap at the end when he gets to the tile he's supposed to be at. Yep. But again, it looks like it read the wrong tile. Okay. Okay, so we got some issues here. Let's see. What do we got? So we read the initial tile right. Let's see, how close did he get on these now with a slower speed? Let's take a look. Right, 5 because we set this. But let's see, can we get him down to 1? Let's see what happens when we do 1. So let's just make him go one tile. And off he goes. Okay, so let's see. How close did he get? He got to 4.0. Oh, which makes sense. If we're doing 8 by 8, he'll be halfway through. So let's just do, let's do 4. Boom, boom. Okay, but we're definitely reading the wrong positions on the subsequent moves. The initial move we're reading properly, but the subsequent moves we're reading the wrong positions. Okay, so let's think about this. Never move more than 7 squares. I'm not worried about that right now. Let's see. Where is our mouse inputs? Inputs. Here we go. Let's go back. Let's add in this print again. Print target cell. TAR. Wow. There we go. Let's figure out how far off this is. So we click here. It's 2.0. 2.03. But now it says I'm not over a tile. Oh. Okay, so I bet you it's because what we're doing is we're moving the A-star grid in relation to the player. Because the player moves. So then this grid moves with the player. Oh, no, wait. I know what it is. Nope, I don't. Never mind. I was thinking back with our player inputs. Well, I was like, well, we have the target, the current cell being tracked at the player inputs, not in the player, but we killed the player inputs. So that's all being tracked here in the player. Let's go back over here. Let's take a look and see what we're missing from this. We have moving. We have the previs. You know what? Let's add in the previs. The previs is going to help us troubleshoot. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go over here. Let's take a look at our player. We have this previs line. It's just a line 2D. So let's go over here. Here's our character. Add a line 2D. Whoops. Fingers were totally off. Okay, we're going to call this previs. And let's just make a unique name for it. Okay. And then what we can do with it, let's see, do we have anything special? We're set up to 1 pick and we want to do top level, and we'll just steal this color because it's a good color. Okay. So let's go back over here, previs, 1 pixel because we don't need it to be huge and fill in the screen because our tiles are only 8 pixels big. And then we want top level, so it's drawn on top of everything else. Okay, so we got that. We got the previs. Now let's set it up. So let's add this back into our unhandled input. Put it right in here. Okay. Oh, path previs. Let's rename this so I can revoke the unique name. Path previs. There we go. And then I'll give it back its unique name. Okay. Let's see. Where else did we use previs? Here we go. So let's copy this here. And that's down just below target cell. So we don't really need that anymore because we're going to be able to visually see it. And is there anywhere else? Here we go. Path previs. And this is under physics process. We added that into current cell. Okay, that empties out those. And then, okay, so that should be enough to give us a previs. Let's see. Yep. Okay, so here's our previous line. So now we can see where we're telling them to move to. We're telling them to move there, there, snap. And now you can see our previs is showing okay. But when we mouse over not a tile, it goes away. Okay. So we got a little bit of work here to do because our character is snapping. He's existing in the top left corner. So his 0, 0 is right here, but it's also in the middle of a tile. So we just have to, we'll have to play with that after and figure out why that's happening. But now I'm really confused about why after I go outside the bounds and come back in. See, this way it works. Oh, you know what it is? If I go negative, I bet. Boom. Yep. I don't know. Now it's working. Why is it working now and not before? Welcome to the fun of game dev. This is awesome. Okay. So let's see here. Howdy, Calamity Change. How's it going? Let's see here. Let's see. Okay. So let's see. What did we do to... I feel like I'm doing something just fundamentally wrong in my code. What are you doing? I am currently trying to add in a previs for my character to walk through the dungeon. You know what? Let's just make sure we didn't break something else too while we're at it. So if I go stand here and then click add tile, hey, it lets me add the tile. Okay. And now yep. But now we don't have the navigation. Oh, right. We don't have the navigation right now because when we add the tile, we need to then update the A-star grid reference in the player itself. Okay, so let's go back over there. Let's try to see if we can get that going. Okay, so on a game board here, we're going to do this. We go through this. We set this all up. So when we draw the terrain, we're going to have to add that back in. Let's see what we did in the idea testing. Player setup, unhandled input. Okay, so we must be. Are we pulling in the? How long do you learn this to make game? Actually, I want to make game when I was a child, but I gave up because I don't know how to learn it. I've been programming since I was probably about 7. So there's, the programming stuff comes pretty naturally to me. But when it comes to learning Godot, game programming, I've bounced on and off of it over the years. It was probably about just over 2 years ago now. I found some actual good tutorials and have locked into it. I started with, trying to do some, what do they call it now? They were on Udemy originally, and now they moved off to their own game dev something. I can't remember now. Their own site. They were pretty good. You got through. You're like, hey, great, I know this. You started to try to make a game on your own. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I was able to follow them step by step. Have no idea what I'm doing. I couldn't follow the concept. When I got into it a little bit more seriously, again, it was during the whole Unity fallout with their runtime fees and all that stuff. And so Godot was on the upswing, and Bracky had just released his tutorial about how to make a game in Godot. So I followed that. I was like, great, an hour of that. cool, I can make stuff, and then I can swap out sprites. And I understood how to do that and kind of make a 2D game, a platformer, but I didn't fully understand, what I was like. I was able to follow the steps, but I wasn't able to actually do the actual design and, make it my own and change things up. So then I found another tutorial that did like GD Quest and all that stuff. And I was like, again, I can follow the tutorial one for one. Couldn't really set out on my own. And then I found Michael Games. He's a creator on YouTube, which I link in my channel. He has tutorial videos about building, at the time it was about building a Zelda game. And his tutorials are a lot longer than the other ones, but he spends a lot of time saying, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. And he explains it that. And once I had that level of instruction of, this is why I'm doing this, and this is how this works, that like set off those gears in my head, and I was able to, make an actual Zelda clone. And then I made platformers. I'm working on a Castlevania remake and stuff like that. At the same time, I was doing all this stuff. So I've been doing it for a long time, but I never fully grasped the concept of how you do game dev until probably about 2 years ago. So it doesn't take a whole lot of time. It just takes, it does take time to sit down and work through stuff. So, let's see, back to where I am here. We were trying to add that in. This is the idea testing. So where do we update? Let's check out the game board. Game board. So when we add the tile in, where do we update the, where do we update the A star grid? So let's see here. Next tile, we draw it. When we add the tile, here's the A star, and then we update this and update this. Okay, so we need this when we add it into, what do we call that here? Draw terrain, add tile. Here we go. Okay, and then we will add this in. Okay, so then again, we're I don't think we need to reset that, but I don't think we need to define that again. So let's get rid of that. Region, this we'll definitely want to do, because if we do zoom in and zoom out, you know what, let's leave this in. Just in case when we add the camera and we start zooming in and out, that might change this slightly. It shouldn't, because it should still be an 8x8 tile, but when we get into the viewport, we want to make sure we're still updating it. And then we go here, we set it if it's walkable or not. Okay, and then we should pull in from that. So let's try that one more time. Okay, so we go here, do. Okay, and then walk up here, and then, oh no, we'll come back to that bug again in a second. Okay, we need, come on, update. There we go. Okay, come on. Okay, add our tile. Oh, and we got stopped because of the wall, so we never got to where it was going to be. So now we're stuck in an infinite move. Okay. Okay, but that should be, we got a lot of problems here. We got a lot of problems that we're going to have to debug. Let's see here. What else? What do we need to do? This is going to bug me now. I've got this sort of working in the, so let's go back over here. Let's look at our demo, our idea testing. So we've got the idea testing here. We got this, this works. Okay. And then we can do, all this movement. It does the previs properly. What are we doing wrong from my idea testing into my actual production game here. So let's see here. So we've got this. We got the next tile. Yeah, that's fine because this is manually drawing tiles. We update all of this. Draw terrain from array. That's fine. This is the rotation. We don't need any of that. That's the initial one. Okay, so that should be fine. Why is... Let's go back over here. Speed 25. What did we set our speed for up here? Oops, character body. We made our guy a little bit slower. Okay. Animation, don't care about that right now. We got a current cell, or move points, current points. We got that. We got the grid. Yep, grid. Okay. Oh, moving. Oh, hey. Aha. This might be part of our root problem here. Okay, add a tile. Okay, so we're adding here, but we're not adding over here, and this is saying we're not over a tile. Okay, so I think our map to local is probably not working right. Let's go back and look at the, let's see here. Map local, here we go. Tile position, tile map, tile map. If there is no tile data, do this. Okay. Let's see. What are we doing over here? We're doing the exact same thing, are we not? Map to local, map to global. Do we need to we already got global. You know what? Do we need that? I don't think we need that. It's like, oh, look, we're doing multiple global. Yeah, we don't need multiple globals. Okay. So that seems better. Oh, we're in our infinite glitch again because now we're hitting walls. Sorry, Calamity. Let me just see what you wrote here. Well, that interesting. How you make this, and do you like write? Well, this will be a story game or something. So this is an ongoing series. It's basically a real quick tile-based dungeon crawler. There's going to be no actual story. It's going to be, think of it more as a board game where you draw tiles from a stack and they get placed on the board, and then you fight monsters, collect treasure, and stuff like that. The premise of this is trying to finish a full game in 100 hours and get something published to Steam. Whether 100 hours is going to be enough, I mean, the answer is probably not, but we're trying. We're absolutely trying to get it done and in a playable state. Likely it'll either end up, if it does make it to Steam, it'll be in early access because I love this style of game. You know, I play Hero Quest, I play the D&D Adventures, and I want to, keep developing that game, make it better and better and better. But again, I have this goal. I want to show the entire process of here's how I think through things. Here's how I debug. Here's, all that fun stuff. And I'm putting all of it live. It's all on video on demand on YouTube. So you can watch all 100 hours of me, making the actual game design document, going through all the bugs and figuring all that stuff out. So, it's version 1 is, again, what we're doing is it's just real quick. It's move on the game board, roll some dice, resolve some combat, get some treasure, some minor upgrades and stuff like that. And then maybe in like version 2, or again, if I do early access, and then I can evolve it some more. About the only thing it's going to be is there's going to be items that you'll be able to carry between your dungeon exploration. So if you get an upgraded sword or armor or something like that, you'll be able to keep it with you and moving forward, just to kind of give it a little bit more reason to keep playing versus, one and done. But that's the idea behind it. Any feedback or anything like that people want to give, hey, cool. I'll definitely take and listen to it. It's because of the 100-hour constraint. I'm trying to keep that scope as narrow as possible. Okay, so we got that. We got this. We still got some other issues here. Let's see. Let's just move. Let's do this for right now. I'm just going to remove. This is our limited, so we can only go 6 squares at a time. If we go down here, we add a tile, add a tile. Okay, we can move there. But now we're hitting the wall. And see, we're hitting it at 12. Let's see, when we do it this way here, I mean, again, it's also because he's not in the right position. Okay. But now we can move him, and you hit a wall. And you can't move because we hit a wall. Okay, so we probably need to figure out to change his movement so that he's based on the center of the tile versus based on the top left corner. Profit from the game would be nice. I am not under any pretense to believe that there will be any profit really made from this. That'd be cool if there is, and I've got something worthwhile eventually. But I think a 100-hour game to Steam, I'd be lucky to make back the $100 that it costs to put the game on Steam. Just realistic expectations. But I want to try to get to that point. And like I said, if I can hit early access and keep developing it, maybe it will develop into something. The research I did and kind of where this came from is Tales from Candlekeep. Love that game. It's been pulled off Steam. You can no longer buy it. But that one was it was an actual Dungeons and Dragons based one. It was a great game. I love it. I still play it, but you can't buy it anymore. And it didn't sell. I'm going to say it didn't sell very well for the level of game it was. I think it sold like a couple hundred, I think it was like 200,000 copies or something like that. So to me, that'd be outstanding and amazing. But to someone like, I forget who published that. I don't think it was SSI. I don't know who Hasbro had published that, but that was not a profitable game for them. So. Okay, so let's see here. Let's look at our player 2D. So this is our origin. So if we do, because when we move, this transform, if we put him back, sprite, if we do 0 and 1, and then we do collision shape of 0, 0. Okay, we do that there. And then the initial offset will be 4, 4. So he starts in the right place. Let's see what that does. That snaps him to the center of the cell. Okay. Yep. We're still getting stuck because what's happening is he's moving from here to here and getting within our threshold, and then he can't move anymore. How do we save this here? Okay. And thank you, Calamity. Let's see. How do we change that script to make sure that well, with the change for what I just did, can we do this? Well, if we do 1, does that still? Okay. So this, now that we got rid of that global position thing, let's see if we can do, let's do 0.25 like it was originally. Okay. Let's see here. Let's move them to here. Let's add a new tile. Move them over here. Add a new tile. Let's move them down to here. Okay. We have a problem with our movement code. Move points is less than that. Okay. Oh, this should be an absolute. Because if we're moving backwards. So if we do an absolute of that, will that help our backwards movement? Okay, so we have a little bit of a bug there because when I clicked the add tile, the path was there. So it still tried to move on the path. Oh, look at this. We've got ourselves into a conundrum. We can't explore anymore because now we've been locked in. But the nice part is, let's see if we can do this. Okay, so we do have a problem here because we're stuck infinitely trying to move around a single block. 8.0, 8.0. Let's see here. Oh, well, let's put this in here because again, now we're testing for the absolute. So let's just double check that. And let's just make sure that this 8.0 is actually an 8.0. There, there. Okay, come on, give us a tile that we can kind of move around. Okay. Down over there. Okay, can we go up here now? There. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, we're stuck on this corner because our math is telling us we're 8 away. But why? Why is it telling us that we're 8 away? Are we still doing top left movement? I think we are. So I think it's anytime we try to do that, our math is going to be based on, the grid here. What can we do to work on that? So I think what we might need, I might have to go research this off stream. We have to find a way to center. Oh, wait, you know what we did? I know. Back here in our script, when we did the character movement, we moved this right here. We moved that from, oops, I'll leave that there. We move this out. Let's see if we add this because then it's going to move us into the center of the cell each time it makes a cell change. So let's see here. Nope, that did not affect anything. Okay, so when I still try to go down, it still put us 8 pixels away from where we were trying to go. Shoot, I thought I was onto something. If the absolute length is less than 0.25, but sometimes we're getting the length is 8. Do we want to use global position or should we use... Now, this idea before we did, where we didn't want to track a separate 2D array for all of our walkable cells, might be coming back to bite us here. Here's our current cell. How did we, why is, what, does this work? So what are we doing here that's different? Let's see if we can do, so like here, you know what, let's go back out here and just change this for a temporary. Where is my, there we go. Let's limit, get rid of the limit for the cell movement. Okay. Let's add our cells. Okay, so let's do, move them to here. Okay, move them to here. Okay, so this is calculating right. How is this calculate? Did we do something different with this setup? Let's take a look. Let's look at our player. Player is, oh, you know what we did? We made the player smaller, I think. Collision shape. We made it 4x4. We did the offset it. Also 4x4. Because the players themselves are at 4x4. And we made the collision 4x4. What did we make our collision by in this one? Character body, collision shape. We did 8x8. Let's try 4x4. Okay, and let's take a look here. So that puts it in the center there. Let's see if this makes a difference. Okay, no previous lime. Done. Let's see if we there we go. This will, okay. Now if we go over here. Okay. So because we were setting the collision shape so large, we were hitting the boundaries because it was just over 8. So we're hitting the boundaries of the other tiles. So that's what was causing that. Okay. So now we can move here. We can add in our tiles. Okay. Come down here. Add in that stuff. Okay. Cool. Cool. Let's go over here. Let's add a tile there. Hey, look. I can add a tile while moving. That's not what we want to do. Oh, cool. Can we get a... Nope. I was hoping I'd kind of get a single wall in the middle of nowhere because then it would be true. But anyways, this looks like it's working now. Okay. And it was because we made our player shape exactly 8x8, which is the same size as the tiles. So when it hits the walls and stuff like that, again, our floating point math, especially using delta, is not, you know, whoops, let's just hit F8 here, is not actually 0, 0. You see, like right here, we're at the end, we're 0.000006. So we got to remember that we're not the full size. Okay, so let's see here. We've got the player moving around the map. We've got the movement working, not very keen the way we have it working, but it is working. So we've added A star. We've built the grid from the tile map bounds. We found out that we have to track A star grid separately. We can't just use the navigation layer on the or do we? Because we have navigation. We don't need the nav agent then, do we? It's a good question. Do we need the nav? We might need the nav agent when we want to try to avoid other players and monsters. But what I'm doing, I'm brute forcing the A star grid navigation right now instead of using the nav agent. How did we use the nav agent? Let's go back over here. Let's go quit the project list. Let's bring up Terminus Squad because that one was This one was A-star grid navigation. Oops. Let's try to make it so it fits. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. There we go. So let's see here. Let's take a look at our sergeant here. We do have the navigation agent here. Okay, we have the nav agent. We have the input controller. This was an RTS, so this one was, real-time movement. So how did we use it here? Do we have... Spawn, set selected, teleport in. We don't actually directly call the navigation agent in this. Oh, wait, we have a movement component. Here we go. Navigation agent. Here we go. So if there's a nav agent, we set the radius, we set the max speed, we get the target position. So this works for RTS. I don't know if this would work for a grid. So because I don't think we allow, there's nothing here that says, hey, we're moving in a 2-axis movement. We're not doing edge centered. Yeah. May have to play with that one a little bit more, but anyway, let's go back over here. Okay. So we've got this, we've got the agent moving. Let's see, what else did we want to do? We got heroes moving, monsters moving, which we'll revisit here in a second. Let's see. Oh, let's go back in. Let's just add in a restriction so that you can only move 6 squares at a time. So let's just make sure that works. So now if we add this in, we add the tile, add this tile here, and then no matter where we go, we can only ever move 6 squares. Okay. Yep, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, perfect. Okay. So we got that. Okay. Let's clean up this whole mouse is not over a tile because that's just going to fill up our log. So let's go here. Get that out of there. Where was our other print that we want to get rid of? This. We don't need the absolute here. Okay. Whoops. Cancel. Okay. So that cleans up this. We can see where we are. We can say there's a new tile here. New tile. Okay. Okay, cool. Now the problem we have is we need a way. We probably need to jump into turn order because right now, if I were to come onto this board and we say we added a control D, we add a second player. I'm just going to call this player 2. Okay. And let's just put player 2 in. Where's my transform? 4 plus 8 will be 12. X, well, we'll leave that as 4, and this will be 12. Okay. So then what we have is the 2 players. And then when we come out here, we're having we can't run this. Out of bounds index on base array. Because what's happening is our game board only deals with the one character. Even if we brute force this and put in, say, character 2. And we come down here, wherever there is a character. So if we do character 2.setup, is there anywhere else we call the character directly? I don't think there is. No. Okay. Character 2. Oh, because I never. Game board. Character 2 is player 2. Okay. Okay. So we got just one player moving here. Okay. And then what we want to do is we want to advance it. So then we're only telling the active player that they can move. So we need to do a turn order, which is another thing. So let's okay, so let's jump back over to our planning. Let's jump over here. Let's go to this. Let's go ahead and say we've got the player moving. And then for our optional notes, we need to do need to add avoidance. How do I spell avoidance properly? And research nav agent. So I need to research a little bit more about the nav agent. So let's go ahead and stop this for right now. Let's go back over to our Kanban. I'm just going to call the heroes done for right now. Because a lot of this other stuff too is going to be rolled into Milestone 3. But we need to work on the action and turn system, I think, is the next thing. It's kind of game manager kind of goes hand in hand with this. But let's do a rudimentary turn system just so then we can get our player going back and forth here. Kill that. We don't need our Terminus squad anymore. So what we need to do is we need to flip-flop between the characters. So after character 1 moves, we need character 2 to know that it's their turn. Okay, so let's do right now everything's being controlled in the game board. Because we don't have the game manager set up yet, let's just do a var turn order, and we're going to make it an array of character body 2Ds. Character body 2D. Okay. And let's make this an export for right now. Okay, so we can set up the turn order. And then what we need to do is we need to advance. Let's do a signal up here. Signal next turn. Okay. And then let's add in a new function called advanced turn. Okay, and then that is going to be a void. And then what we need to do is we need to take the turn order and we need to set which one's active. So we're up here. Let's go back up to the turn order. And we're going to do var current. We're going to just call it current actor for right now. Current actor index. Let's be clear on this, because what we want, we're going to refer to the index in the array for right now. I'm going to come back, and this turn order is going to be a linked list when we're all said and done. But for right now, I'm just going to, quick and dirty, we're going to set this up here so then we can advance into our turn order. So let's come back down to our advanced turn. And so we're going to say current actor index plus equals 1. Actually, we need to do equals clamp. Is it clamp? No, wrap, right? Yeah, wrap I. And then the value is going to be current actor index plus equals 1. The minimum is going to be 0, and the maximum is going to be the turn order dot size, right? Because of size is 2, we need to do size minus 1, because if it's only 0, it could only ever be 0. If its size is 1, or sorry, if the size is 1 because there's only one player, it'll only ever be 0. If it's 2, we need indexes 0 and 1. So 2 minus 1 will give us 0 and 1. Okay, so that should be oh, not plus equals plus 1. There we go. Staring at that going, what do you mean? I can't. I'm already assigning it right there. Okay, so that should wrap around. So then when we add in, if it's currently turn, the turn tracker is 1, we add 1 becomes 2. It says, hey, we can't do that. Bring it back to 0. Okay, so that's a current actor index. Okay, and then what we need to do, so that's going to tell us in our game board here, we're going to have our characters. We're going to say, add an element, character body 1, add element, character body 2. Okay. So then that's going to keep track of this. We don't need these characters, character 1 and character 2. So we don't need these right now. But what we can do for character in turn order. And then we can just do, character.setup a star grid. Okay. So then they'll go through and they'll set those up. Again, we don't have any other references to characters, so we can get rid of these. Okay. So now we'll go through. Oh, we have another reference to character somewhere. Here we go. So this character will be current actor index. Nope. The index is going to be here. And this is going to be turn order current actor index. So this should only explore when the current actor is on the edge. Okay. That will change it. Advance the turn. Okay. So that saves that there. So now if we come back in here, what we need to do is we need to activate this. We need to, right here when the movement is done, start move, physics process, moving is false. And then here we need the game board. Do I have a reference to the game board? Doesn't look like I do. Game board dot, what do they call it again? Turn advance turn. Oh no, I call it next turn. Next turn dot emit. Okay, so now when it's done moving, it should emit to the next character. Let's see how I messed it up. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we move to here. Okay, so we're never adding okay. So why? Okay, so let's think through how we're doing this. We're setting up the grids, start moves. Let's go back to the game board. Tile stack, tile order. Let's make sure we're actually calling the. Oh, yeah, we're never. Wow, totally dumb. We need to set up that signal. So we need to do next turn dot connect, and then we need to do advanced turn. Okay. Okay, we're not advancing the turn. Why are we not advancing the turn? Let's make sure this is being called. Advanced turn, print current actor index. plus turn is over. Okay, let's make sure that that's str. Need to make it a string. There we go. Okay, zero's turn is over. Zero's turn is over. Oh, do we not? Oh, that might be. We may not need the -1 because it might automatically. Okay. So now it's advancing, but we're not moving on to the next character. So we need to make sure when it's turn 1, it is going to be pulling the next character. Okay. So let's see. How are we doing this? We need to change the... So let's add the new function into the character. Boom, boom. And let's just call it activate. Function activate. Okay, and then we should probably also have one called deactivate. Deactivate. Okay. So what we can do, let's go back here to moving is false. So let's call the deactivate function here. Let's put this in the deactivate function. Okay. And then when it's active, let's do a what is it? It's get tree. Let's get tree dot. No, it's process input. Set process input defaults. Okay, so this should stop allowing us to do the input when it's the end of the turn. So if I go move here. Okay, it's, oh wait, because this is unhandled input, this needs to be handle input. Handle, is that what it is? Handle input? I'm trying to remember what the reserved one is. It's just plain input. Okay. It's just plain input. Okay. So that should go here. Then this should disable. Yep. And then we got this other guy. But he is not moving. Okay. So it did switch the input over to the other guy. Okay. So then what I need to do is then I need to set this to true. Okay. And so what I need to do then is copy. Let's go back over here to the game board. When we advance the turn, we deactivated, we changed the index. And then what we can do is we say turn order current actor index dot activate. Okay, so then that should turn on the processing function in the new character. So let's make sure we move this guy here, move this guy. Why is this not accepting its input? Oh, wait, am I doing... I'm not doing any input on this, am I? Show possibles. So we're definitely doing that. We're showing that. That's proper. Okay. So why is this not activating on the second character? do we have a process? So let's do, how about this? In our ready function, do we have a ready? We don't have a ready. Okay, let's add a ready function. Ready. Okay. So we'll show off the process input from the start. And then in the game board, what we'll do here is under our initial setup, we do for each character in the turn order. Okay. We connect this, and then let's do all that. We connect that signal, and then let's do turn order. Current actor index dot activate. ACTIVATE. Okay. Okay. So that's done there. Boom. How come game player 2 is not what are we missing? We're missing something here. We're missing something stupid, probably. How about we do... Okay, if it's a mouse button event, let's print out get, is it node name? Node, get node. No, print, let's just print the nodes. This is just the node's name. So let's just do that. Okay. So what this should tell us in the print screen is who's actually active. So when I click, this should say, I think this one was character 2D. Yeah, character body 2D. Okay, I'm going to come over here, click, player 2, player 2. So it's instantly not move. That's why. This previs. Okay, that's why. Okay, I got it. So we'll revoke that, and let's go back in here. Let's go up to the top. Let's make this an export or an on ready. And then down here, anywhere that we have the absolute for the previs, we'll just put previs path. What else do we have? Do we have another previs yet? Right here. Okay. Okay, so let's try this. Okay. Hey, look at that. Okay, turn order, boom. So as soon as he's done moving, turn order. Okay. Okay, so now, in theory, we have multiple characters moving around screen. Let's just add in another, let's minimize these. Let's add player 2, but let's add player, it's going to be a 4-party system. So let's do player 3 and player 4. Okay. Player 2 is going to be, we already did player 2, that's 4 and 12. Player 3 will be, let's do 12 and 4. And then player 4, that will be 12 and 12. Okay. So now, oh, that's right, because we're we need to go back to the game board, add our new players, player 3, and player 4. Okay. So now we got our 4 players. First one moves. We can move through friendlies, but we're hitting the other player. Okay, so let's go back to our player. Let's look at our collision. Our players are existing on layer 1. Let's make them exist on layer 2. Same with this one. Player 3. And player 4. Okay, so that should solve that. We should now be able to walk through friendlies. Yep, there we go. This guy. This guy. Okay. Okay, now we're up to this one. Now we're up to that guy. He can't add a tile. This guy can add a tile. Oops. Wait a minute. That seemed wrong. Now we have them overlapping. Yeah, we don't want to do that. Okay. That's more of a later thing. But okay. So we got those. We've got that working. So we've got a real simple turn order wraparound array thing. Let's see. I feel like this might be a good spot. Call it for the day. Let's go back here. Let's look at our tile stuff. So we can make a move. We have the restrictions. We have a turn. Wow. I feel like when we're looking at this, I mean, we definitely made the move happen, but we haven't really completed our action system. So we do have movement working. We still got a lot of stuff, fine tweaking to do to make sure that we're not overlapping, make sure all that fun stuff's not happening. We also right now only have it set up for a single action, and then as soon as he's done moving, turns over. We have the rudimentary turn style. Yeah. Okay. So let me think here. Is there... Yeah, I think that's 2 hours. Man. It's a good thing we have an extra hour from Milestone 1, or else I think I'm going to really be... This is going to be really... This one's going to take a little bit more than 10 hours. Okay, so let's do some more. Let's plan our next stream. So let's go back over here. Let's look at our board. Let's stop. Let's not. I don't want to stop this right now because we're still planning. But let's go look at our Kanban. Did I have the turn here? We're working on it. Let's update it. Let's do basic array. Array turns. Okay. So we need to convert to linked list. Okay. So that's what we got to do there. We've replaced our keyboard movement now so we can actually click and move around. Can we do a simple other thing you know what? Let's try to get... Okay, this is going to be stupid, but let's try this. Let's open back up. And let's take a look at our idea testing. Where did I put idea testing? Let's see if we can just throw in. Let's throw in our 2D camera. Let's just take this. This is a camera I stole directly from, what's it called? Terminus Squad. Wow, can't even remember the name of my own game. I'm doing awesome. Okay. So let's add in a camera 2D. Let's attach the script. Create. We'll place this in. I need to define a middle mouse button. So let's go to project settings, input map. Let's add a new action called middle mouse. Add. Let's map that. Okay, close. Okay, so let's see. There we go. Woo. Let's just make sure that when we do this, okay. So this brings up an interesting thing. What we need to do is we need to, yeah, okay. So now we found the bug. So what's happened is when we added the new tiles, the next players in line do not have knowledge of those new tiles yet. But as soon as I move them, I'll move this guy right here. This guy, I'll just move right here. The next time we move them, oh, these are negative tiles. Is that because we're doing negative tiles? It might be because we're doing negative tiles. Yeah, it's because we're doing negative tiles. Okay. Yeah. Shoot. We also need a way to show who's active. So we need to say, this is who's the person that's active. Yeah, because if we look over here, we look at this, we're out of bounds every time we try to use a negative reference. Okay, so let's add that into our list of things that we need to do. But on the positive side, as long as we keep going forward, we can add in tiles. We can do, let's go over all the way over to here. So we can scroll around. We can add the tiles here. Boom. Yep. And then they do show up properly there when they're in the possible areas. Okay. So we've got that. We do need to fix negative tiles. So we'll do that. But we do have this scrolling around. We are able to, move around the camera, select our coordinates update because of the local map. So we're doing some good stuff here. Okay. So I think I need some lunch. My throat is starting to hurt. So let me see. I think let's call this for right here. And before we log off stream, let's figure out what we're doing on tomorrow's stream. So let's see here. We'll save this. We'll come down here. That's the idea testing. Let's just make sure there's nothing. Let's go ahead and just stop. Oops, wrong button. Wow. Okay. So we're going to stop this. Okay. So we did, let's see here. We did just over 2 hours today. Okay. I'll have to go through. I need to update this so that I can actually click on the project and just, actually, I can do it here. Genfire tiles. We started this in beginning of May. Let's just put this to the end to make sure we get everything. Filter. Okay. So here's all the sessions that we've done. I wish I had a grand total screen thing, but if we add all of this up, we can see how much time we spent. So 2.5, that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 840, 9, 940, 40 and 40. So just over 10. 40 and 40 gives me what? 20 minutes. So we're looking at 10.5 hours we've spent right now. I'm probably doing my math wrong, but I'm just trying to quickly add in my head. So that's where we are on that. Let's look at our grid list. So what we want to do, let's create a definitive plan for next time. Let's come in and let's take a look at, we've converted the movement for the players. So let's come in, let's start building the actual game manager, because then we're going to put in our turnstile into that. So let's build the game manager. In the game manager, we'll have our linked list, so that we can keep track of, whose turn it actually is. And then we can advance, and then we can do our, in the game manager, we'll track how many actions that they've taken. Or should that be in the player itself? No, because we need actions for monsters too. Monsters need to take 1, 2. They need to take 2 actions: double move, move and attack, double attack. Because we want to have them have the same economy as the player. Although more likely they're going to be move, attack, cast spell. They're not going to be disarming traps, opening a chest. So we'll build that into the game manager. We'll have the action economy tracking. We'll have the turn tracking. We'll build out our linked list. We've got our preview path going. We've limited ourselves to 6 squares, which when we build out our characters, well, actually, you know what? I have hero quest cards here. So like that's not the actual one. This is like a hero quest card. So you have, our number of our attack pool. They have movement in these. There are 2 red dice. If we do D&D Adventures, do we have the actual player cards from the Adventures? Yeah, like here we go. So these guys are like speed here has like 5. So in the D&D Adventures, we have exactly how many squares that they can go. And that's what I want to do with this, because the rolling the dice there, I've heard from multiple people in Hero Quest talking about, oh, I like the rolling the dice because sometimes I can't get away from the monsters when we do that. I don't think that that's a fun tactic. It's also when you get stuck in the dungeon going, okay, I've cleared out the section. I know I need to go to the top right. Now I have to roll dice, and if I keep getting 2, 2, 4, whatever, it takes forever to get there versus if I roll double 6s and I can just fly across the map. So I think set speed, plus that's going to be a lot more tactical planning, and that should be also easier to balance, because then you know exactly how far a player can move every turn. You know how far a monster can move every turn. So we'll do that. We'll get that done tomorrow. We'll get the game manager built. We'll get the linked list. We'll get the action system and the turn style. And then that will lead us into, then we'll start doing the monster spawns, because that will get all that stuff. We'll have the the action system in place, but not necessarily working, because until we have monsters, we don't have the ability to attack them. Until we have a combat system, we can't actually attack the monsters. We can't cast spells on the monsters. Disarm traps and open the chest. Until we have those items, which are down all added here in Milestone 4, we can't really interact with those. But what we can do is we can build out the framework. We can go into the game manager and say, here's our action things. We can pick 2 of these, increase the counter, saying they've picked X, Y, and Z, or X and Y, I should say, because it's going to be limited to 2. And like, okay, those actions are complete. So whatever those sub things are, we'll signal back. Oh, excuse me. One sec. So when those are complete, we'll signal back saying, hey, the action is complete. Decrement the action counter. Action counter is at 0. Go to the next thing in the linked list, the next turn. And then what we'll do is we'll need to do, when a monster spawns, when we reveal a new tile, what we'll do is then that monster appears, it'll roll initiative, and then we'll go through, we'll use a function for the linked list to then insert that monster where it needs to fall in the linked list. And so if you're not familiar with linked lists, it's actually pretty cool. Let me just go, we'll just add the temporary page here. We'll go draw. So the way like a linked list works is, say we have like, here's, player 1. Okay. And here is player 2, P2. Oops, 2. There we go. And all there is there's a like a little piece of information here that says the next thing is player 2. And then it'll probably have like a, where do I come from? You know, what's in this direction? You can have that. And then when we insert, say, monster, you know, monster here, we'll just do a monster. All we do is we take this arrow, and I'm going to change this over to red, and we basically remove this, and we just repoint it at the monster. And then we take the monster and then point it up to player 2. So then now when we move through the list, we just go player 1, monster, player 2. The difference is we're only changing what this points to. These things don't exist in an array. There's no index. There's no, you know, go find out where things are. To find stuff in the linked list, you have to walk through it. You go, okay, here's a start, you know, start at the head, walk through. And then so if we build like our initiative list at the top of the screen, we're just going to walk through each thing. We go, okay, player 1, grab the portrait from that character, put it up there. Who's the next linked list? The next linked item is the monster. Put the monster's portrait. The next one, put the player's portrait. And we just walk through and build the array that way. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. And that's what I want to do, because if we do it with an array, you know, I'm just going to go back here and just, you know, here's an array, right? We have player 1, you know, here's P1, you know, player 1, player 2. And then we need to insert the monster right into here. Well, then we need to take, you know, there we go. We have 4 players, right? What we need to do then is, you know, we have to come in here and we have to take all of this and shift it down and then insert the monster into here. And what can happen then is that throws off our index array, that throws off, you know, like whose turn it is and all that stuff. So we can have a lot of bad things happen when we mess with an array like that. Whereas this is, all we're doing is changing a variable, just saying, you know, player 1 is saying, hey, the person behind me is the monster. Person, you know, player 2 was behind me, but the monster stepped between us. So now the monster's there. And the monster comes in and says, yep, player in front of me is player 1, player behind me is player 2. So yeah, exactly. The linked lists could be very useful for this. I have programmed them once before, so I love the idea of it, and it's going to be a lot of fun trying to actually implement that into this game. But we'll be doing that tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow we'll do that on stream. I am going to go get some lunch, so I'm going to end the stream here. But tomorrow I'm going to post it up. I'll be 10 a.m. tomorrow morning as well. I'll be streaming probably for about 2 hours. And so we'll hopefully get through a good chunk of this, especially now that we've got the movement system actually working and we've got a plan here. So, but without further ado, I think that is, where am I? Where's my talking head thing? It's gone. Why is my talking head gone? Oh, there we go. Okay. So with that, I'm going to sign off for the day. I look forward to it. I thank everybody here for joining in the stream. The people who did participate, you know, look forward to talking to you hopefully tomorrow, but till then, I'll catch you later.